coming from Jordan Scott, the Jamaican, a personal best 17.34 meters to win the triple jump for men. Shade Williams, the Barbadian, ran a season's best 50.94, but she was down in 8th in the women's 400 meters. Shanika Ricketts, the Jamaican, suffered her first defeat of the season in the women's triple jump, placing second 14.57 meters, with the Olympic champion Thea Lafond out of Dominica placing 5th at 14.26, same mark as the Jamaican Akeelia Smith, who was 6th in that competition. All right, let's get to the analysis. SportsMax.tv content editor Leighton Levy joins the show via Zoom to review the action. The first thing that struck me, Leighton Levy, was the Olympic champion Julien Alfred saying that she felt very rusty. And I'm thinking to myself, if that's rusty, the world is in trouble.
That's my same thought, Ricardo. When you look at the fact that her start was pretty ordinary, and she seemed to be, as she said afterwards, that she wasn't clear on what she was doing in the race and still ran 10.89 with a slight headwind, I might add. So, you know, given the fact that she doesn't have to compete at the St. Lucia National Championships later on, I think it's in July, you know, she's on track to where she wants to be in, you know, by the time the Tokyo World Championships roll around in September. And other than Melissa Jefferson Wooden, the reality is that these two have separated themselves from the rest of the world so far. And based on what we saw from Julien Alfred today, her first race in the 100 since the Diamond League finals last September, she's looking pretty ominous for anybody who's planning to challenge her for the World Championships 100-meter title come later on this year. She looks absolutely awesome. And the fact that she opens this event in June tells you that Coach Flo has her exactly where he wants to be. I suspect that he would have preferred a little faster times, I suppose, but I don't think he can be totally dissatisfied with what he saw today.
Yeah, and we know as well, Leighton, that she's been focusing a lot this season on the longer distances. So she's run a few 300s, both indoors and out. She's run a couple fast 200s as well to start her outdoor campaign. And I was looking specifically for how that last half of her race would look. And I was quite impressed with the ease, at which she moved away from Dina Asher-Smith, her training partner, and, of course, Marie-Josée Talou.
Absolutely, Ricardo. And that was a plan. From last year, Coach Florel had the plan for her to run a lot more 400s this season than 300, and, of course, gradually step down to the 200s and the 100s. 21.8 and a 22, I think it was. I don't remember what time the second race was. But what you looked at her today and saw the ease at which she was able to maintain her speed after the 60-meter mark tells you that that plan is coming to fruition right now. And given the fact that she's nowhere close to being tapered for the World Championships, you can imagine just how much better she will be in the last half of that race come later on this year. Her speed endurance is phenomenal. I think the plan has worked to perfection so far, given what we saw today, where the ease at which, she actually eased off about 10 meters from the line and still was managing to separate herself from two pretty quick athletes in Dina Asher-Smith and, of course, Marie-Josée Talou Smith, who were second and third. It tells you that Julien Alfred right now is on an upward trajectory with her times gradually looking to come down as she gets closer to the events that really matter this year.
Yeah, and I'm listening to you, Leighton, and I'm thinking that you would bet on her lowering her personal best 10.72 this year, which is already making her among the top 8 fastest in history.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought she would have been able to run 10.6 last year in the Olympic finals, but given the conditions in Paris last year, where it rained a little bit and the environment wasn't ideal, and still 10.72 in a high-pressure final, tells you that she's ready to run. She's probably ready to break that 10-7-second barrier. And I totally wouldn't be surprised if she breaks it leading into Tokyo this year, given that she'd be ready to run fast and, of course, a few races to get her race sharp going into Tokyo. I wouldn't be surprised if she breaks that 10-7 barrier maybe a few weeks out from Tokyo. So, yes, 10.6 is on the cards for her this year. And it would make her, of course, put her in probably the top 4, depending on the time that she runs, puts her into the top 4 or 5 fastest all time.
Yeah, Leighton, I didn't hear the comment myself. I read it, but I saw where Julien Alfred said, well, I'm the Olympic champion, so I am the one to beat. And we know that she's had her issues with confidence in the past. And I just wonder if she is now embracing her status and stature as the best female sprinter in the world right now, and the one who is the favorite going forward, and the one that everybody is gunning for with the World Championship in mind.
Well, yes, from last year when we did the podcast with her on Out the Blocks last year, she admitted that she was already beginning to embrace the idea that she's the Olympic champion and that the target is on her back. But also along those lines as well, she speaks to the growing confidence she has now that she's been able to break through. Because remember, just a couple of seasons before, she was just off the podium, and her confidence was not where it was supposed to be or where she would have liked it to have been. But now, given what she's done, world indoor champion, Olympic champion, pretty much running undefeated so far, except for the 200 final in Paris, you have to believe that her confidence is at a place right now where she believes that she's the one to beat. And based on what her comments were today, she doesn't believe anyone can beat her going into the World Championships. And of course, I'm sure that will be tempered by Coach Florida a lot, because obviously you can't be too overconfident. You have to still be aware of your opponents. And of course, with Melissa Jefferson running 10:73 at the Grand Slam track in Philly, and of course, you know, the people like Sherika Jackson and Shakara Richardson to come, I'm sure that confidence will be tempered appropriately. But right now, I think Julien Alfred believes in what she's capable of doing and does not believe that if she executes well, she will lose.
Yeah, of course, still a long way to go to the World Championships in September, but there is no doubt that Julien Alfred is the one to beat at this stage of the season. And talking about confidence, Leighton Levy, one man who must be extremely confident at this stage is Jordan Scott, fourth at the World Indoor Championships in Nanjing, won a Diamond League, then finished second in another, and here he is winning again today with a lifetime best 17.34 meters. This young man is starting to look pretty dangerous, Jordan Scott.
Absolutely, Ricardo. When you consider that he started this year with a personal best of 17:02, he's broken that mark at least 5 times this year. I think he had a 17:10, 17:18 as well today, and a 17:17. Jordan Scott has found the formula to jump even farther than he's ever jumped before. And when you consider the continued progress that he's managed to make since January, when he jumped 17 meters, 14 indoors, he's only gotten better. And when you look at the fact that he looks bigger, when I say bigger, I mean more muscular, he looks a little bit more powerful, he looks a little faster, and his phases are looking a lot better. You have to believe that he'll be going into the national championships in less than 2 weeks, a lot more confident. And depending on what happens there, we'll be going into preparation for the World Championships, a very confident man, because it's not just the fact that he's jumped 17:34 today, it's the people who he's beating. Tango and of course Ricardo, I'm sure those guys are going to be coming ready to jump a lot farther in Tokyo, but so will he. And when you consider that his confidence right now is perhaps at peak, you have to believe that he'd be pushing the likes of a Jaden Hibbert at the national championships and probably pushing each other to outstanding performances. As you know, Hibbert has not performed so far this year because he has recovered from some minor surgery and, of course, started his background season late. But I'm sure that Coach Travis Gifford will get him ready for the national championships and, of course, preparing him to compete at the highest level in Tokyo. So Jamaica will have a double barrel or 2 guns going into Tokyo, and I'm sure that will give him additional confidence, knowing that both of them will most likely be contending for medals in Tokyo.
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable season so far for Jordan Scott. 2 Diamond League victories. His last 5 competitions have all been 17 meters or better, including the personal best 17.34 meters today and a 17.27. That was when he won at the Wanda Diamond League meet in Zemen. And so, yeah, it's been a stellar campaign so far. All right, Leighton, we have to leave it there for today, but we'll chat again soon, no doubt. I'm sure you heard about the news swirling around the track and field world today. I give you 30 seconds for a comment. I don't know why Lance is smiling, but Grand Slam track led by Michael Johnson apparently setting for a premature end. I know that athletes and agents, managers are getting ready for a meeting at 6 o'clock Jamaica time, 7 ECT, with organizers of Grand Slam track, where we suspect that the announcement will be made to them, or the news will be confirmed to them. Any quick comments on this latest development with GST?
Disappointing, but when you consider that the situation in LA right now, ticket sales would probably be down because the situation there is so unstable, with ICE being there and of course the U.S. military coming out as well. Nobody wants to be in LA right now, certainly, and of course that, along with what they said initially about the venue economics, where ticket sales obviously are down, so therefore all of the contributing factors would also be impacted as well. Not really a surprise. And of course, it's disappointing. I'm sure there are a lot of athletes looking forward to that as well. But it is what it is. And of course, these are part of the teething pains. So, let's hear what comes out of the meeting when they meet with the principals and the stakeholders this evening and see what happens for next year.
Yeah, all right. We'll be tracking that for sure here on the SportsMax Zone. Take care, Leighton. We're going to
take it easy, guys. Welcome back, Lance.
All right, brother.
Take it easy.
Yeah, before he leaves us again. We're going to go to